Hey, you didn't think Elon Musk forgot his deep space dream, did you? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. This week has definitely provided much excitement, chiefly in the political realm. We have seen not merely one Twitter files release, but two. Separately, the choice of a new Speaker of the House turned literally into the political contest of the century. But early yesterday morning, Elon Musk, the new CEO of Twitter, said something profound. He declared that life must become multiplanetary. From any other eccentric billionaire, that would be a mere flight of fancy. But Elon Musk, before he even thought of buying Twitter, determined to run his own space program. He has built a company to accomplish the precise aim he mentioned early yesterday morning. So, what would a multiplanetary civilization look like, and how far can Elon Musk take the concept? Before I answer, I do want to shout out to the prime sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views. Link in the description. Be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of great merchandise there, especially this t-shirt that I have chosen for today, which quotes Noah the shipwright, saying, sometimes faith will make you look stupid until it rains. And of course, it shows the vessel he built, the great life ship, which in English we call Ark. I doubt that Noah imagined that anyone would take inspiration from him, much less the kind of inspiration modern men have taken. Well, aside from the matter of his being a prophet. Oh, one more thing. If you like what you're about to hear, you can like this video. You can also click the bell icon to get a notice every time I come out with a new one. In fact, do you see the new icon, the heart shape with the US dollar sign in it? That's the super thanks icon. If you really want to keep these videos coming, click that and leave me a tip. Any currency will do so long as it's legal tender. Now, Elon Musk actually maintains two accounts on Twitter. The account in his name and another account called Musk University Quotes. So between the two, he left this message, and I quote, "The Starship fleet is designed to achieve over 1,000 times more payload to orbit than all the other rockets of the Earth combined. Almost no one understands this," close quote. That's one tweet on the Musk University account. Then Elon tweets on his own account in reply and just says this, and again I quote, "necessary to make life multiplanetary," unquote, Elon Musk. I have a link in the description to that particular tweet. Now, some of you know what he's talking about, but I already hear others of you asking, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, is this guy for real talking about sending ships to other stars? Hold the phone. Elon is not talking about that, though I will talk later about someone who did. Elon's Starship is his greatest development project to date. A rocket that can carry more than 100 metric tons of payload into low Earth orbit. True, the mighty Saturn V by NASA could lift significantly more, 118 metric tons into orbit or 43.5 metric tons to the moon. But unlike the Saturn V, Starship will be fully reusable. So the total payload capacity of a Starship over its lifetime could be nearly 85 times that of a Saturn. In fact, everything Elon Musk has done with his space exploration company, or SpaceX, has gone to serve one purpose. That purpose is to create a multiplanetary civilization. To do that, he wants to be self-funding and not rely entirely on a massive multi-decade government contract. True, he does accept contracts to lift smaller payloads, but these are payloads that governments and private customers want someone to lift anyway. He also is building Earth's first low Earth orbit satellite-based internet service. These projects generate revenue to finance his central goal, Musk needs that independent funding so that he can pursue his dream without fear of cancellation. In fact, SpaceX began with the development of reusable boosters in cargo and passenger capsules to replace a regular carrying capacity that the United States has recently abandoned, the Space Transportation System, or Space Shuttles. Earlier than that, NASA canceled Project Apollo before it had accomplished a fraction of its original goals. NASA had fully intended to fly more than 6 sample return missions to the moon. Well, actually 7, but one mission famously failed and almost cost the lives of its crew. Maybe you heard about that one? Apollo 13. NASA had planned building a permanent base on the moon to support eventual mining operations and missions further out. Alas, that was not to be. A fickle Congress canceled the program and excused the cancellation with a familiar canard. This doesn't affect the Earth you're living on. NASA continues to send probes to the planets, the asteroids, and the Kuiper Belt objects. But without exception, these are robots. They take pictures and beam them back to Earth. They take samples and analyze them on site. Now, one, Perseverance, is taking samples and packaging them for a later retrieval mission. But they do not carry human beings, nor support any of the traditional missions of the great world explorers of centuries past. This is what Elon Musk wants to do. Support building functioning cities, living communities on other worlds. Why the failure of vision other than by him? Now, I'm going to tell you in just a moment, but first, I want to shout out to a sponsor who can really help you through the economic storms to come. That sponsor is oursilverlines.com. Do you feel like you're working harder for your money just to get by? You are not alone. The fluctuating economy, employment issues, and unexpected changes in life have left many families struggling over the past few years. Collecting gold and silver can help shield you against many of these challenges. But if you're like me many years ago, you don't know where or how to start. Our Silver Lines helps by connecting you with thousands of members who are learning the secrets to creating and protecting true wealth by collecting precious metals. Whether you just want to collect rare and unique coins or take advantage of the business opportunities this company provides, either way, they can help you learn to live an exceptional life. Visit oursilverlines.com to learn how you can build a legacy for your future. The story of the great failure of vision, that means that not only do we have to reinvent all the technology that took us to the moon, but people actually think we never went there, but faked it all, is a story almost too embarrassing to tell. I live with that story because I grew up during the era of Projects Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo. But not until 1973 did I learn about the one man who could have advised Elon Musk if the two had been contemporaries. His name was Robert Duncan Enzmann, PhD. He is literally the forgotten man of space exploration. Fortunately, a nonprofit has sprung up to remember him and his work, the Foundation for the Research of the Enzmann Archive, or FREA for short. I've left a link to them in the description. In 1947, Dr. Enzmann invented his first spaceship design. You can find this in the FREA site. This vessel was a true starship, which he intended to support not mere interplanetary, but interstellar missions. Nor did he rely on exotic, not yet invented techniques like total gravity manipulation or faster-than-light travel. His vessel, symmetric along the linear axis, would utilize the thermonuclear pulse engines of Project Orion to achieve relativistic speeds. A mixed company of about 2,000 crew and passengers would set out in 10 ships of this design toward a carefully selected star. Generations later, the fleet, with its company now numbering up to 20,000, would arrive and, one hoped, found a colony, a refueling dock, and or whatever else they could build using the resources available. Someday, I hope to tell you all about a program someone else invented to use the Enzmann starship design to its fullest potential, but that didn't happen. Sadly, Dr. Enzmann had to watch bitterly and helplessly as NASA canceled Project Orion in 1960 and canceled another project to develop nuclear propulsion for aircraft. On or about 1980, he wrote a scathing screed, which you can also find at the Freya site. In it, he laid the blame for the cancellations, including that of Project Apollo, on the academic community. In fact, Enzmann predicted many of the ideologies we see today from the academic community and the World Economic Forum. I quote, "Imagine a presidential election campaign in which the candidates blither about tax reforms and saving the people from the maw of rapacious energy-producing companies. However, tax laws penalizing marriage are never whispered." Unquote, Dr. Enzmann. Well, we don't have to imagine it, we remember it in the elections of 2008, 2012, 2016, 2020. And I remember Representative Maxine Waters, Democrat from California, threatening to take over those companies. And I also remember the so-called marriage penalty, and it took Ronald Reagan to do away with it. But Dr. Enzmann was far from finished. Again, I quote, "Behold the liberal Eastern community of geniuses babbling about methods of abolishing municipal sewage systems to save irreplaceable nutrients." However, the same beautiful people never mention the European university professors who taught the precepts of technological devolution, abolition of education, and massive population decrease on a global scale as soon as possible. Unquote, Dr. Enzmann. Does that sound familiar? It should. That ideology informs the encouragement of indigenous peoples to repudiate modern technology. It never occurred to any of those tree huggers that any of those indigenous folk want the modern technology. In fact, Enzmann included a plug for the successful revolt of the Inuit who inhabited Greenland against the Danes, who then owned the island and wanted to remove modern technology. The Inuit, whose name means the people, and that's better than calling them the eaters of raw meat, which is what the traditional name for those people means, actually grabbed weapons and told the Danes to leave them alone, and they won. The Danes still own the island, but their silly micromanagement of the Inuit has stopped. But we are not so lucky, it seems. Did you catch what Paul Ehrlich, author of The Population Bomb, yes, that Paul Ehrlich, appeared on New Year's Day on 60 Minutes? He told CBS correspondent Scott Pelley that humanity itself was unsustainable. In fact, he said that humanity would need 5 Earths to keep everyone in a Western-style lifestyle. If you believe the resources of Earth are that finite or fragile, and many reasonable people dispute that, you have 2 solutions. As Enzmann feared, a global elite has adopted the solution of massive population decrease. All the woke ideologies come down to that. Enzmann opted for finding new worlds to settle. Elon Musk would share his vision if the two could have known one another. Indeed, had Musk read enough of Enzmann's work, he would be collecting Falcon 9 second stages in orbit. Instead, he wastes them in atmosphere re-entry, having given up on bringing them back to Earth and reusing them. Well, at least he isn't throwing his boosters into the ocean. But he intends replacing Falcon 9 with Starship, so that issue will soon go away. Thus far, Musk plans to colonize one world, Mars. Indeed, he designed Starship's Raptor engine so that a Starship could easily refuel on Mars with minimal infrastructure. And on Mars, the ship part of Starship could launch to orbit in a single stage, a thing no rocket currently invented can do on Earth. Musk does not seem to plan to provide Earth's normal gravity for Mars' first colonists. Therefore, humans and other animals will adapt to the lower gravity and never return to Earth. Perhaps Musk regards that as a small price to pay. Earth's normal gravity would be possible on Mars using gigantic beveled centrifuges, but the population would then lose the advantage of being able to look at a sky or a landscape. Still, Mars would represent a first step and an industrial base to support a true multiplanetary future for human beings. That is, if humans can have such a future. At least one Twitter user doubts that. Points out that this saying, in fact, Earth is pre-engineered for human beings. The account calls itself Creative Causation, and I have a link in the description to their tweet laying it out. As you can imagine, duplicating that engineering will present a challenge. But to meet the greater challenge of academic opposition, Elon built his own resources, financial and otherwise. Smart move, because it means he can tell them to leave him alone, and the rest of humanity, to leave people free to thrive. Link in the description of the article, to Elon's tweet about multiplanetary life, to the Creative Causation tweet about a pre-engineered Earth, to the Foundation for the Research of the Enzmann Archive, to my Declarations of Truth Twitter account, and to Conservative News and Views. I've also left links to the awesome CNAV Store and to oursilverlines.com, as I also mentioned. You know already about how to like a video, turn on notifications, and leave a tip. On the end screen, I'm going to leave a subscribe link to my channel and links to a few videos from the foundation, including one featuring that interstellar ship design. This is Terry A. Hurlbut delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.